Yeah.
So welcome, social innovators. This is week 4. We're already not really slowly inching to the end, but we're quickly coming to the end of this particular cohort, which is August cohort. This is week 4, and as usual, we have these meetings to provide additional support so you can get on with your proposal development, get it ready to be able to put in applications at the end of your program. So Funzile, it's so good to have you here again. Hello, G. Hello, Fumi. So we'll go right into the conversation. Funzile, so you have the floor. You were sharing something very interesting, and I wanted to capture the moment. Okay. So apologies
Okay.
for cutting you short, but you have the
No, it's
floor now.
fine. Okay.
All right.
So I was still appreciating these past weeks and listening to the recordings. I had to stop, pause, play, rewind, re-listen. Sometimes I think I understand, but I realized I didn't understand. But what it has done, even though I've not yet reached completion, like the budgets and whatever side of it, but it has made me realize that obviously as a community developer, you always are looking at problems, thinking of ways you can solve the problem. And at times we start projects without being intentional. So it's like a by the way, and you find that you've built I'll use the South African language, mkuku, shacks. You find that you've built lots of shacks along the road, which are not sustainable, which don't have impact, which really seem like temporal stuff. But in your eyes, it looks like something, that's worth investing in because you are helping someone with shelter, but you don't look at things with an eye of an investor. You look at it as as when you're coming with a solution, passionate about solving this issue, and you feel that this 4-room shack, does the trick. But you don't consider the floods, you don't consider many other things that will make it non-sustainable, make it not maybe cause impact. And at times the whole assumption that people need help, so any help will do, even if I've got band-aid, whether it's a fractured bone, but I've got band-aid, so band-aid will do. So so for me, I think as I said to you, I have got so many projects because of the heart that one has. But I've realized, like going back to the drawing board, looking at the rest of the things I do, I realized that some of them are really not fundable. Good and wonderful, the programs as they are, but they don't make sense to the investor. Yes, so but to me, they do make sense because when I host the program, boy, I've got this energy. But then I realized I was just like a hit and run kind of wonder. And I realized I didn't dream far in terms of, okay, what then? Like there's one that I feel is good. I go to schools that are in shack areas, shack dwellers. So obviously there's high rates in crime, rape of the kids and all of that. So, and literacy levels are like extremely low. So started a program there, a literacy program, put together also robotics in it, and I put financial literacy, all these critical skills. And it was just an awareness campaign. But I saw that there's a greater need than just bringing the kids in one day and then inviting the UKZN students and some that do robotics just come for one day and expose these kids. And then they eat lunch and ta-da, bye. So then I'm thinking, okay, sustainability, so what? So they've come to this one day, National Children's Day, and they've seen robots and whatever. They've
excited.
Yes, little experiments and got exposed to science. And then what? This other one was encouraged to pursue science, but man, she's failing maths. But she sees that maths is the future, science is the future. So what am I bringing in to actually assist them then to be better? I bring in financial literacy and entrepreneurship. They do those exercises that day, and then what? So it has made me like reverse put a hold on most of the projects, which is freaking everybody else, because it's like, then you don't have anything to do in our calendar. It's been
I'm
scary
really
because
excited that this is coming from a participant. It's not coming from me. It's coming from a participant, and I'm really excited.
yeah, so it's scary. So I've realized that I think I need more thinking time and visionary time than the actual sitting in the office and pushing letters for donors and fundraising and this and this. The most important time is thinking ahead, like, because it really was a myopic view. I could only see thus far, but further down the line, you know, it was like I was just giving birth to kids and leaving them by the side of the road. Somebody else is gonna come and probably do something
take care
about
of
it.
them.
Yeah. So it's been an exciting, it's been scary because you know, you feel like then you're not doing anything, you're just doing this one thing. But doing this one thing perfectly is better than having all these
doing
9
so
projects.
many things.
Yes, I do 9 projects, but I realized that
9.
yes, I've got 9. Please don't faint on me. So yeah, I've got 9. Like I'm saying that I'm so busy that I realized though, my business is like 5% impact though. It's beautiful programs, I must say, but they don't have sustainability. They don't have a plan that speaks to the objectives, and then you can measure the outcomes. Then you can make a follow-up in 5 years. You know that
You're speaking the language.
Yes, so it's been an exciting exciting journey.
So much. Thank you for
Thank you. I'm even thinking of repeating the course. I was like, I think I didn't have enough.
There are people here, they know themselves that they are repeating it.
Hey, I'm telling you, I was thinking, maybe I'm gonna be part of the September cohort again. Hey,
all
no,
right, interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy because we are being transformed, because that was my vision for designing it. I want people to leave this, I'm passionate about this, so let me do this, into embodying this thing about innovation and really creating sustainable solutions. It's better to focus on one project or program that has pockets of activities that really addresses the problem. So like using your project, for example, going into those shanty communities and just getting the children excited for one day about robotics does nothing to their situation. It does nothing for them. I mean, they may have a bit of awareness of something that is possible. But possibility is not enough. How about the pathway for them to become that kind of professional or get into that career path, which is something that Fumi does. So just getting them aware of the possibility is not enough. We have to help them create a roadmap and continue to support them and ensure that there's an enabling environment that can sustain the awareness, sustain the excitement, get them to take action that will help them get to that career path or become this empowered person from a vulnerable community. But one of the challenges is this. I always say it in all the sessions that because as a nonprofit leader, you are heavily invested emotionally into what you do, there's a possibility of that blindness to what is needed. So you feel just going to the community to do something, people are saying, oh, thank you for coming, thank you for coming. And you are losing sight of what is important, losing sight of the change that you need to shape, the change that your programs need to deliver. Sometimes I also take a step back to see all these programs, all these workshops that I've been hosting. How is it impacting on nonprofit leaders? For some of you that have been with me on this journey for a while now, you know that I have launched some programs and killed it. I will even announcing that this thing, I'm putting it down. That's because I'm not really seeing the impact. Although people come in, they're excited, 4 days workshop, they're excited. At the end of the day, maybe some months down the line, I'm interacting and I'm not seeing any tangible action that they are taking in order for them to create the results that need to happen. So it is something that we need to become intentional about. And that's why in your document, I keep asking certain questions or putting pointers on a different direction for you to take. It's hard work, but it's work that must be done in order for us to propose projects to funders that will pique their interest. So it may look valuable to you. I was just reflecting this evening before this session. And also, I'm also planning a Q&A for people in the wait list for next week, Tuesday, and also in the academy. And I was just thinking, how do we do this? How do we go further from here? And something just dropped in my spirit. And this is it. Something may look valuable to you. A program may seem valuable to you, but it is not valuable in the sight or from the perspective of the funder that wants to give you money. So you always need to think also from the perspective of the donor, the investor. Is this program investment worthy? Is it grant worthy? Is it this problem I'm solving? Is it big enough that funders and stakeholders are interested in putting money to solve the problem? Or is my solution valuable enough from the eyes of a funder that they are willing to put money into it? Unless you're the person that you just want to spend your personal money on it like that, you at a time, you'll be fatigued, you get tired because you're not seeing any shift happen in the community. 2 years down the line, you go to the same community, nothing has changed. And you've spent your personal funding up to $20,000, throwing it on the wall and it's not sticking. So that's why I'm bringing you all on this intensive journey, doing the work, tearing down the ideas and putting it back together. It's for a purpose. So thank you so much, Fumzile, for sharing. I'm really excited. I mean, this is like scales have fallen off your eyes and you want to take a pause and then go back to the drawing board and redesign what you're doing. All right. So KG, I hope you're able to share. You're not in a very busy place. Okay, one more thing, Funzile. Did you see my comments on your proposal? I made a comment yesterday.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes, I went through them. Actually, from morning, I checked everything up until obviously you did comment also on the objectives. Yeah. I revisited them and I put them together. I actually understood what you were saying, that I need to make it clear that there's two phases of the training. There's the technical and then there's the business, the soft skills. Yes. So I had separated them somehow, but I understood what you're saying. So I've edited that part. And then and then further down, I also noticed the comments that you made. So I think I'm ready to engage further. Yes, because you said I must make sure I'm here today.
Your program is really very interesting. I mean, the project, I like the project because I know that it's something that has great potential of really changing the lives of those young people, women and youth in your community. And then you are really talking about you're talking about sectors that are really critical now, agriculture and climate change, and you are integrating these two. Food, you're going to drive food security. There are three things you're actually driving with that program, if you know. You're driving food security, which is one critical global goal. You're also driving climate change. And then you're driving enterprise. So there are three critical things that just one project is going to deliver. So young people and women will be empowered economically. There'll be food security. And also you're using strategies that mitigate the impact of climate change in those areas. So you should really, really pay attention to it. Like I mentioned, because I noticed you had like three different training components that I think you just collapse into two. One should be the technical side, focusing on, the smart, climate smart agriculture and all of that. And then the other one should just focus on the business or the enterprise side. So building their personal growth, the soft skills they need to learn, the business and financial literacy skills that they need to develop will just happen on one accelerator. So you have the technical side, the enterprise side. So I think that's a better way to present the activities. So I want you complete the other sections of the proposal, because for your cohort, for August cohort, the final coaching clinic session will hold next week, Saturday, which is the 2nd of September. I know I earlier mentioned that, oh, nobody's going to carry over, but sometimes because of other activities you have, you may want to extend. And so September, like I mentioned before, that I've changed the structure. So there's an additional component for September cohort. They now have a funder engagement section component to it, where they'll get curated funding opportunities and also support for applications for a different, an entirely different fee. All right. So good project you're doing. Please complete the other sections, and also budget. Budgeting will take your time. We have only 1 week left, so double up and ensure that you complete the entire document. So KG, let's hear you. Anyway, I don't even know what to say. But anyway, I'm here for you all.
So one of my main challenges with this method, first, when I started in July, I felt I chose the wrong month because I had so many things running.
Okay.
I came back in August, and it was a slow catch for me before I could put myself in that shoe and start it. And
Okay.
yes, I can see the days the weeks are almost there. But I said to myself that this is what I have access to the videos, and I'm watching them. I will say that in July, I just tried to do the assignments and just watch the videos. In August, like last week was my highlight. I understood clearly how to differentiate activities from methods and design. Yes. So unfortunately for me, I couldn't get to sit to do the work on Friday while you were making comments. I was on it and I was working.
Yeah, I saw you, and I had to leave a comment. I thought you were going to respond to me live. I wanted to be sure that you have clarity on a direction to take now.
Yes, I was able to do it, and then like I told you that I'm actually writing for 2 different organizations. So the other one is the mental health one. So I had to do some meetings with some of my colleagues in the office to be able to put my head together to write what I wrote for that organization. Now, while you were talking to the last you made mention something something that was in my mind. And I realized that so the list you gave us in July for donors, I went through all the lists to see, okay, these 2 organizations, which one can apply to any of this? And I saw clearly that if we apply to 9 of them, we will not get any response.
Yeah.
So I started thinking to myself that this means that you may have your ideas on what you want to do, even though you can see it. Sometimes, of course, it's important to talk with the community and interface and know what their needs are.
Yeah.
You may have that idea, but when you are looking for funding for it, it may not be what the donors want to fund.
Yeah.
So I started asking myself questions. So how then, because in fact, this evening, someone sent my organization another funding opportunity, and it had climate change to it. So it's beginning to sound like if my organization has this area as its main focus, how then can I include these aspects that donors wish to fund? And my organization will not look like a confused one, wanting to do other things and not focusing on what they plan to do. Yes. So that's like a question I had in my mind, and I was just pondering through it. And thank God you made mention of it in the class, and I heard. I think there were 3 things, but I've said 2. Sorry, where I am, I just came back home and I'm trying to make notes. But if I remember the 3rd one, I'll
you can always pop back in to say that. Yeah, it's something I have. It's something that concerns me, because I work with a few clients, and then it's been a struggle. This is disclosure. It's been a struggle with the proposal writing and fund sourcing. I just told them that strategy need to change. Strategy will have to change. Okay. It's just like someone that runs a business. You have a product and nobody is buying it. You spend money to market the product. People are not interested in buying that product. Either it's obsolete or, okay, imagine, KG, I hope you can hear me. Imagine a
Yes, I can
phone
hear you.
dealer, an electronic device dealer. We all know how strong Nokia 3310 is. Nokia 3310, we know how strong it is, that if it falls from 20-story building, nothing will happen to that phone. It's durable. It has all its benefits. Now imagine that someone has an electronics or a shop that sells, a company that imports or manufactures phones, and then you're manufacturing Nokia 3310 in 2023 and pushing a lot of money in marketing and advertising it. Who will buy it? How would that business be profitable? The market no longer wants Nokia 3310. It has moved on from Nokia 3310. It has moved on from Samsung Blueface and all of that. They are nice. They are not bad products. I mean, if I have Nokia 3310 now, yeah, it's handy, especially if you are going to the field, community field, and you don't want to look too flashy. Because back then, when I was going to the field, I don't wear plenty jewelry. I just be simple like that, look like them, you know, so that they'll not be eyeing us to say, since the 1.5 million euros is in their account. But the market does not want Nokia 3310. No matter how you market it, people will not buy. You will not get the kind of result you need. It's the same thing for grants fundraising. What donors were funding 10 years ago is not the same thing. There was a time it was all HIV project. If you're doing anything around HIV, the grants will just be flowing. You'll be traveling abroad, going for conferences here and there. It's not like that now. 2 years ago, COVID-19, so it was palliatives. It's not like that now. So we must study the patterns. We must study the trends. Study what is changing. Look at what donors are prioritizing. And one thing I want to let us know, there are some activities that are dear to your heart. You want to continue doing those things. The truth is, you must make up your mind to continue to fund those activities, because grant funders will not give you grants to do those kind of activities. Things like, okay, let's say you're doing an education project and then you're buying school sandals and school uniforms for children. You will hardly get grant funding for that. So for those kind of projects, they are valuable projects. I mean, you're providing access to learning aids, learning materials for vulnerable children. But grant funders are not interested in that. So what do? It's either you fund them out of pocket, you use other channels like social media fundraising, CSRO partnerships, go and partner with corporate organizations that you have relationship with for them to support, both donation, friends and families, or you start running a business in addition to the nonprofit, and then you use a percentage of that to fund those kind of activities, because they are not grant worthy or grant ready in today's age and time. It is the bitter truth. Not every program is grant worthy. And so what should we be looking at in 2023? You need to follow the news, follow conversations. Now you have AI that can do research for you quicker. All right. So you're looking at problems that I would call high-level problems. High-level problems that don't have very easy alternative solutions to. That's why you see anything around climate change, anything around the environment sells like hotcake, because everybody is thinking about the planet. Everybody is thinking about what is it? Is what one of my lecturers called it greenwashing. Businesses are now doing greenwashing marketing and telling you that if you buy this product, you're saving, you are reducing carbon emissions. If you buy this product, certain percentage of it, you are buying this product at this price. That's because we're sustainably sourcing our materials. We're only buying materials from vendors and companies that use clean energy. So everybody's greenwashing now. That's because everybody's now paying attention to the planet to say that if we don't begin to change some of our practices and behaviors, this planet will not be able to support us again. And we don't have another planet. And so it seems like now everybody is green, is eco-friendly and all that. You can just have a small business and saying that you are converting waste to materials. They see that it's working. Money will be flowing from everywhere, even with small grant writing skills. And so these are, you have to do research to understand what donors are currently funding. When you see an organization that got grants, just they will not give you their proposal. So don't even go and ask for the proposal, but just try to observe what the project activities are. Look at their communication materials. What are they saying the project objective is? What are they trying to achieve? Look at the impact reports. That's why in my emails to you guys, I'll say, Act Foundation, go and look at their impact report. Lagos Business School, look at their impact report, so that you'll be able to make sense of the direction of funding right now. So those usual awareness activities, you will fund it out of your pocket, truthfully. Except there are small grants. I know that there are small grants out there that may just want to do few activities to mark International Day of this or International Day of that. But the kind of funding that will really be substantial for our organization, from $10,000 to $100,000 or more, is beyond just awareness raising. So you're looking at changing social systems. You're looking at changing culture. So if you work in a community where there's a local culture that does not support young girls going to school, and then you're thinking of introducing a new culture that empowers young girls and women to be able to get education, to be able to start economic activities, you're talking, because you're doing a systemic change. So we need, like what Fumzile was saying, we need to begin to think through our programs, think through what we want to do, because you need to look at it from the eyes of who's going to give you money. The person that has the money is the one that determines the direction where you're going. And so do some research. What are the funders around education? Go to their website and look at what they're doing. Look at what they're funding, and then observe or evaluate what your organization currently does, and then see how you can improve on it in the proposal, because some of those activities you may not be able to afford to start implementing them now, but it can be a proposal idea that you can use for your application. And then you're saying, we are currently doing this now, but we have observed these gaps in the work we're doing. We observed in the community that these areas, these are other drivers of this particular situation. And then we have developed this project that we want to use to bridge that gap. That's why you're asking for the grant funding. So NGO work is not just charity, you're doing good. It's about solving problems. The charity side, we're talking about the development side of nonprofit organizations. Okay. So I will look forward to your complete document by Friday, because next week Friday is my final review for August cohort. So find the time to really build on it, resolve all those issues that I brought up in the document. I know you're making progress. You seem to be making progress, but just resolve all of the stuffs and then complete the document for final review on Friday. Okay.
Okay, so does this also include the log framework? Is that table?
So for log frame is very technical. You can try your hands on log frame, but the thing is, this particular funder has not asked for a log frame. So I would say, you see the particular first video for project design, the 2A, sorry, excuse me, where I just was teaching what the impact is, what outcomes are, what outputs are, and I showed a case study for an agri project. Just go straight to just piece out what the project objective, what your project objective is, outcomes and all of that, and just write the narrative. Later, you can do the log frame.
Okay.
or just focus on completing the narrative and the budget? Let's see, because I would like to see what you have put into the budget.
Like I said, this is not my strength. So I have pulled my team members and will
okay, yeah, so they can do the budget. Yeah, okay, that works. That works. All right. So for me, when you remember that third thing you want to talk about, you come back and say it.
Okay.
All right. For me, you used to be the first person that usually pops into our meetings. Good evening.
Yeah, I was making dinner.
Oh, I understand. All right. So where are we in our project? What's been your experience this last 4 weeks, this last 4 to 5 weeks? And then where are you now in the project?
Well, I mean, it's getting better. Though I'm still struggling a bit between the activity and the methods. Okay. Yes. So, but I think I'll still need to go over and over again with the drills, and I'll try to figure it out.
Your line end is breaking.
Uh-oh. Hello.
All right.
Can you hear me?
I think I can hear you.
Might be my internet.
Okay, so you can go ahead.
Yes. So as I said, it's just the project, those two areas, the activities,
two sections.
Yes, that I'm still trying to figure out. I mean, I wrote something there, and I saw you made a comment on will I complete like the program in its 3 days?
3 days, yes, yeah. Okay, so let me expand on what I meant by that question, because when I read through, I think it's the schedule or something, the schedule section, when I read through, my understanding of what you're trying to do is that in each school, the project is going to run for 3 days.
Yes.
In each school, 3 days. And then I'm wondering, following the conversation that we started here, talking about sustainability, talking about, really driving change and sustainable solutions, do you think that in 3 days, engaging those children for 3 days, they would be able to gain the awareness of a suitable career path for themselves, number one? Number two, they will gain the empowerment, the energy, and the motivation and interest to want to stay in school and complete school. 2. And number 3, do you feel that at the end of those 3 days of engaging them, they will have knowledge about the world of work and what they need to do to prepare themselves career-wise for that world of work?
Okay, so the 3 days I've put there is based on what I have been doing so far. And what I've noticed, especially with public schools, it's very difficult to get time with them. So what I do is, and how I've been able to improve on it is, so I already have the workbook I use in working with them, so they're workshops and we engage with them. So it's like them thinking through what we're discussing with them. So those first 2 days is really about going through the workbook. There are 6 workshops, and we go through those 6 workshops stage by stage. So the engagements, the intensive engagements is those 3 days. But then I still have to reach out to them afterwards. So like what I've done this year was that before we went to hold the workshops, we went for data collection. So I have phone numbers and I can reach them afterwards. Then we went to the school, we've done our engagement with them. So as we do the workshops, then this year we then did a psychometric test with them. So I just recently got the results of the psychometric test. And now it's now time for me to call each of them and to discuss their results with them and give them guidance on what to do once they get their GSS3 results.
So that's you call each of them on the phone to discuss that.
Yes.
Let me cut in here.
Mm.
There's a difference between, because like what you do now is a mixture of, you have a coaching program that you run in Saxon, and then you're looking at projects that can attract grant funding. There's a difference between those two sets of offers. Let me call them offers. There's a huge difference between those two sets of offers. For instance, I may give you all an offer, non-profit founders, to say, oh, learn how to write proposal. And then I just give you the toolkit, which contains the training and everything. And you go and find your direction on your own. Or maybe after like 1 month, I just give you a 30-minute call. Do you think that support is enough to be able to come up with a proposal that is compelling? Looking at the rigors of what we are going through now, to be able to find the direction. So there's a difference, depending on the kind of result. That's why you have to always come from the end. The kind of result that you want to make happen, the kind of transformation that you want to make happen, the level of empowerment that you want to deliver to those children. In your proposal, you're coming from an argument that talks about high school dropout rates and then a lack of interest in, there's no awareness of specific career paths that they can have to be able to build a good future for themselves, especially for these children that come from disadvantaged and vulnerable backgrounds. Honestly, if doing the workshops, good and fine. But the strategy of them calling one after the other, those children may not even remember that they went to a workshop with you, if it was not so recent. So for this proposal, in addition to what I've just said, this proposal you're writing is not an attempt to kind of document what you're already doing, but it is an attempt to create a project that has sustainability and innovation behind it and is worthy of grant funding from donors. So it may need to go outside of what you're currently doing. So that's why I'm always pushing you to think through it. Don't confine yourself to the set of activities that you're currently running, the way the program is running right now. Don't confine yourself to those set of activities, but keep an open mind. You have done research, you've had conversations with people from, is it Teach Africa? Their fellows, and they've told you some of the key drivers of this problem. You know them now. You need to build it into the new project objectives, the new activities, and how these activities will flow. So do not confine yourself to the current activities you're running. We are developing something that you want to pitch to investors, that you want to pitch to funders. It may be outside of what you currently do. So beyond those training, have you thought about things that need to happen on a termly basis for 1 year with the same children, or for 1 or 2 years, but there's a constant engagement term in, term out, so that you're able to sustain momentum, so that you're able to track their performance academically and push them through to school completion? A phone call won't do that. It needs to be in the school. You're working hand in hand with their counselors, with the principal, for a set of children who may be at risk of dropping out of school because they have behavioral problems, because they have attention problem or interest problems. And so you're working in collaboration with the school counselors, with the school principal, to support these specific ones to push them through. So
okay, so the idea now is the issue now is being able to get them in their schools. So because seeing them in GSS3, public schools are quite different. If they're in private schools, we know that they're going to the same school. In public schools, once they've left GSS3, they are like out of the system until they get into SS1. And if I am able to find them in the schools where the government has sent them to.
okay,
You know,
so
so
does it mean
that's usually the issue.
From JSS there's a possibility of them being transferred to other schools?
To
They
others,
won't finish
yes,
in the same school?
because they finish, yes, because so the way they've done it now, year 9, you finish GSS3, and then it's like so like the school I went to now was Idel Dodo Junior Grammar School. So if I'm going next year now, I need to know if all of them are going to Idel Dodo Senior Grammar School.
Wow.
And it's not in the same compound.
Wow.
In Lagos State, at least, for example, in my community where I was staying, the schools I went to Iju Junior Grammar School. There's Iju Junior Grammar School, Iju Obawale Junior Grammar. Maybe they will go to Iju Senior Grammar School. Another school I went to, there's Station Junior and I think Fagba Junior. They're in one compound. But the senior secondary school, they will send them to, is dependent on where the government sends them to.
Wow.
So I have to go and look for them and find out if they're there. That is why I need to call them in that transition period to know where they're going. You know, so if I found it, so the idea really is to call them and say, okay, we have done this program together. Now, if you're given admission into so senior grammar school, if I know all of them are there, I can go and meet them there. If I know the ones that have decided to go to technical college, I can go and look for them there. Wow. But I don't have that assurance that they are going to those places. The phone call I can do in between is to encourage them to go where they are being sent to. So that's actually the first level. And then the idea is to follow up again. So it's more with phone calls that we can follow up again and then start to build a relationship. So now I know that, okay, Teach for Nigeria fellows are now in senior secondary school. Okay. So it's now bridging the gap. Okay, my person here, you know the Teach for Nigeria fellow in the senior secondary school. Can you connect me with that person so that I can meet up with the students there and find out those ones who went through my program? So it's a bit somehow. If it's private school, I know that they're going to the same, they're going from GSS to SS1 in the same school. But with public schools, it doesn't work like that.
Okay.
At least in Lagos State, it doesn't work like that. And so the idea is then to follow up, to follow up.
I see the relevance of that now. I see the relevance of the calls for follow-up now. In addition, we are talking about a grant funding project, okay? One other way to also look at this is the possibility of working with having a functional relationship with the school principal or with the education district. I know we talked about it, is it 2 weeks ago? And we're looking at all the challenges of you're not interested, go here, go there. It just has to be a process that can be integrated in 1, 2, or 3 schools to pilot it, to see how this career education can function as part of activities. Just the way we have school clubs, science clubs, and all of that, or a subject. It can be an ad hoc program that they're doing.
Yes.
It will make more sense because the principals now know, oh, these children will continue, or these ones are going to. I just want you to think from a perspective of systemic change in the educational system that will support career development. Because truthfully, public schools are not thinking about that. So how can you now make it a policy, even at that level, at the level of the schools? You need to find out if principals have the power to be able to introduce these activities, and, or they need all the approvals here and there, and see how you can pitch it to the districts, and then they can allow you to pilot it in 1 or 2 schools and have access to the children. Let them create time for when the activity will run. If we're doing a club system, it just has to be clear in the project proposal. Right now, it is not clear. It is not clear. We're not able to see the value of what you really want to do. That's why I was sure I had to ask you, this project is going to run in 1 school for 3 days, because it's not sellable that way. Okay, so I just want you to reflect on
intensive. Yeah, so it's the intensive workshops that will run for 3 days. But then
so that's just one activity. Let the workshops just be like a kickoff activity that starts them. And then they have, if it's every 2 weeks also, they have a career development workshop or clinic, and then you're discussing, or you have your coaches go support and discuss with them. And then when it's close to their exams, maybe they have workshops that teaches them reading skills, preparation skills, because you're also tying it to school completion rates. And when people fail, they're not really interested in staying in school again. Why am I there?
Yeah.
So these things, so that at the end of the term, you have something to track. Okay, how are they doing? Where were they before the career development program? For the term, they've entered another term again. So it's a sustained engagement. Over 1 year, you can really see progress. And then you can measure to say, okay, these ones really know about career. Someone has decided that they want to pursue law, and then they're doing well in their literature subjects and all of that. So really think through. It's not, the design is not clear now. You have to work on the methods and design. Come out of that box of this is what we are currently doing to this is the vision. This is the possible model that I want to pitch to investors. So it's just like someone that is doing that has a very small production business. Maybe the person is just doing 5 containers of a particular solution, and then you're pitching to investors, you're still talking about the 5 container, and you want to collect $50,000. It doesn't work. So you are selling, you've not started doing it. You are doing something, it's a foundation. Then you are now selling the vision of what is possible that you want them to buy into so you can execute. Because you have tested it this way, and these are your findings, these are the opportunities. And then you are creating a model that leverages those opportunities. You want them to fund it. So stop pitching the exact activity the way they are, because there are gaps, there are technical gaps. Bridge those gaps, bring the possibility, the vision. That's what you put in the proposal.
Okay, then also there's the other question now about, so because if I was thinking that if I'm going to be able to have like continuity with the children, and let's say if I was going to engage maybe government and say, I would like to pilot test this program in your school. So it's more like, okay, which one comes first? Because the government will say, okay, how are you going to do it? And I say, oh, I'm applying for funding. And they're like, okay, go and get the funding first before you come.
No, you will not tell them that you are applying for funding, and then they will say you should go. In the model, there are low-hanging fruits within the model that you can do now. So your 3 days workshop, you can run it in 1 or 2 schools. The call follow-up, you can do that. Come in maybe once in 2 weeks. Your team members or you once in 2 weeks to do career development workshops, you can do without grants. So it is those parts of the solution that you will pilot. with a particular school. For grants, you may want to scale to 10 schools or to 3 local governments, but you just got to test it in one school while doing your funding applications and all that. You have to do the groundwork, because in the application, they will ask you, what are you doing? What have you done? Similar projects, what's the impact of similar projects you've done? You've got to tell a story. And you cannot get that story of impact to tell without doing it. So imagine we have this program now. For each cohort, I'm only taking about 10, 15. Okay, there are 6 people here, though the class size is about 10 or 12. If I want to apply for grant to do this thing, will I be telling the funder that it's 12 people I want to support? I'll be supporting 50 people and run maybe like 20 cohorts at a time, and engage with other expert grant writers, bring them in, and we're supporting these people through these cohorts. So I'm already doing one with my own little capacity. But if I can get $100,000, I can support 2,000 social innovators. But there must be a minimum viable product that you are piloting on your own, and then the funding is to scale it up. So with one school, you don't have to tell I don't know how it is and how it's structured in Lagos State, the Commissioner for Education or PAMSEC, that are going to apply for funding. You just want to work with 2 schools that you can easily commute to do this. And as you're doing your project activities now, you are looking for grants, you are applying for grant funding with the vision you have, but you already have a structured model that you're piloting in one school. You're already doing it, but I want you to structure it properly, have sustainability in focus. I don't know if this makes sense to you.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank
you. You're welcome. Look at the document again and just try to push it further, make it clearer. All right. Okay, so Kofi, you're welcome. I know when people are seeing my comments, I'll be like a thesis supervisor telling you, go and rewrite your literature review again. It's okay. Hello, Kofi.
Hello, Coach.
Yeah, how you doing?
Managing.
All right. So how has been your experience these past weeks, engaging with the training, doing the work, and then the last reviews for yesterday?
Yeah. Well, it's sort of been. I think it's how should I put it? It's been more like learning through the ideas, right? And I think well, whenever I read through and I sort of get to see where I can make it better than before.
Okay.
So with the various requirements as with regards to the proposal requirements. So and most of the discussion we had last week, I've been able to improve on some of them. I think now my thought process is quite clearer than before.
Okay.
And I seem to have different ways of making the solution sustainable.
Okay.
So I think somewhere within the week, I had a conversation with the association, one of their senior members.
All right.
And I was asking them. So so that's where I think. So I started thinking of how I can de-risk the association members. I mean, because I was thinking of, okay, so their main problem when they approached me was how to fund the organization in other ways. Okay. And it wouldn't be only the capacity building, but because the members are profit-making members, however, they've come together to form a non-profit organization just to be able to build their capacity and support members to improve their businesses.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about it through the process that, okay, should we be successful with building their capacity, linking them to, I mean, looking at most of their challenges where access to funding was the major challenge. However, it's built on series of courses, and in terms of financial literacy, where there's a need to provide the capacity building for them to know the various sources, the understanding how they can improve their records keeping, how they can put documents together, how they can prepare policies and all those things to set up to formalize their business and to be able to, I mean, make themselves investment ready. There was also the almighty challenge of access to titles to present as collateral, or I mean, unfortunately, now banks do not only look at your cash flows as the primary collateral. Everybody wants a secondary collateral. So so we're trying to, in a way, educate them. So what I've thought about is that, okay, how then am I able to direct them from those parts? And that was where I had the idea of a cooperative. So I spoke to them that can they find a way to make the association like a cooperative, whereby it becomes like a company by guarantee. So each member contributes to it, and if each member is able to contribute to it, you sort of resource the association, and because you are a member, once you've contributed to it, it is just like any other cooperative, and the way development banks and financial institutions work, like the IMF, the World Bank. The member countries have contribution to it, and when you are in need of, you go to them, right? So because it's going to be like a young cooperative, so they wouldn't have that much resources. However,
to be able to provide,
banks will be much more comfortable when they provide guarantee to one of the members, or to members to access finance from banks, right? So that is one thing that I've realized, that quite a number of banks are open to that idea, where associations tends to, or where smaller businesses come from association, and the association rather guarantees for the person to access a finance, or they go to a financial institution borrowing as the association rather than individual members.
Yeah.
So and I think that this is much more practicable, and it has a way to open up doors or opportunity for them to access funding, right? And in that way, the association is able to attract other quality people to join, and those who can contribute financially to it. So that becomes much more like the sustainable way of supporting their ability, or closing the funding gap eventually. Yeah.
So in addition, go ahead. Okay, complete your contribution, and I'll just put in my thoughts.
Yeah. So those are some of the thoughts that now has come to mind, that these are some of the things that possibly would be able to support them to, get them out of that challenge. That, I mean, now they have they have a better way of approaching bank with much more confidence to know that they are presenting a stronger case, right? And when I spoke to them about it, they seem to be interested and be much more open.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So funny enough, they are even thinking of teaching the idea of going for grants because they think that, I mean, this is something because I mean, it's funny how things work, right? These are businesses, businesswomen. Most of them are educated, knowledgeable, but the only thing is that they don't really know how to put their business together. So now we having that conversation has made them more like, okay, I mean, there's power within us if we pull our resources together. So they are thinking of how currently they are thinking of how the contribution is going to be able to. So the idea that I'm trying to propose, and I'm developing a paper on it for them to much more create it like a fund.
A revolving fund.
Yeah, so the fund will not actually, for now, in that they are saying that, okay, so what we are trying to do is that in the first 3 years, they are not going to disburse out of the fund. They are going to try to grow the fund.
Build it up. Okay.
Yeah, to build it up so that they will use the fund as collateral for members. So for instance, almost 500 people, if should everybody contribute like 2,000 cedis, right? Times that 500, they are literally running into almost about 1 million cedis. Okay.
So they have 500 members now in the association.
Yes, they have 500 members across.
Active registered members across Accra now.
Yeah, so not all of them are active, but the way it is that the way it is that they are going to use that to pitch to the other people who are, because they know that most of these people come with a problem, and it's like the association is unable to have the full resources to support them. So it's like, okay, let's go to talk to. So it's become much more of association. Let's meet and talk. Right. So a few people with their own connections making a way out of it. However, this much more seem to resource the organization.
Okay.
Resource the association. And once the association is resourced, they will be they stand at a better
position
to approach banks, right? And what they are I mean, what the whole thing I pitched to them is that yes, for now people are not really paying. However, if they are able to get about 100 people, which they have an active good standing member of about 100 people, right? The other people are spread across the various regions. Okay. And for this particular one, let's say the total registered members is 500. So from a start, we're thinking of the contribution of a 2,000 cedis. If they are able to successfully get everybody to contribute, it means that they are going to start a fund of 1 million cedis. And with that 1 million cedis, they could be able to use that, let's say, as a cashback collateral to even access at least 100,000 for almost about 10 members.
10 members, okay.
Right. Yeah. So, but the money will be there.
Bank not say, why don't you just loan your fund to your members?
Yeah. So the point here is that because, well, and I'm using my background as a financing guy to advise them on that, right?
Okay.
Because the association does not have the capacity to run a credit scheme.
Okay.
They can do that, but they don't have the capacity. Okay. So it is well. So it's a win-win. We are bringing business to you, the bank. The only thing is to manage the credit aspect for us. But
Yes.
the whole thing is that we will be bringing the members, and we will hold the members to accountable. And
Okay.
should we fail to hold the member to accountable to repay, you have our money,
Money,
which
yeah, you can draw
which
from.
which you can draw from to pay yourself back. So
So
that is
brilliant.
what we're trying to. So but I'm still encouraging them that it really solves their part of their problem. But hey, I think that we should still push to
Yes,
they
that's where I was coming to. Okay. So you can push for grants to take care of the capacity building side of the entrepreneurs, because you already have a community of 500 entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs, and we're looking at how we can make their businesses more profitable, which will contribute to the economy of Ghana. It will also provide employment opportunities, because if they have their businesses expanding, to be able to employ more talents to grow the business, which it's a cyclical increase, which is going to also grow revenues. So there's a potential there. And now you have a community of 500 women with obvious capacity gaps, and then you can tailor your grant proposal to support the capacity building of these women-led businesses, to ensure that they're investor ready. And beyond looking for loans, you can also build the capacities of these women to look for business grants, monies they don't have to pay back.
Yeah. So that's one thing I
it's a
am
benefit. So while we're building their capacity, they'll be able to access credit for themselves through the bank. They can also access business grants. Tunielumelu provides $5,000 for businesses across Africa, not just in Nigeria, across Africa. So if they are funding ready, their businesses are registered, they have simple and functional financial systems working. So month in, month out, they know they're able to manage their inflows, they're able to manage receivables, payables, they're able to manage outflows, they are keeping track of inventory, keeping track of sales. No matter how small or large their team is, they've been able to build in a system that is functional. And then at the end of the year, they are paying their taxes, they are filing tax returns and all of that, which means they are investor ready. They can apply for business grants and get it. So you're teaching them how to create simple business models and simple plans, business plans. Part of the training, I saw that a component part of the training component of your proposal. But in addition, they'll be able to get access to credit from microfinance banks or financial institutions in Accra. And you also build their capacity for them to position themselves to access business grants. People are accessing $1,000 grants, $5,000. An additional $5,000 cash injection into a business that will not be paid back is a lot of relief.
Yeah.
Even $2,000 additional cash injection is a lot of which they can get, provided they can demonstrate how their business model works and their plans and their ideas, what they're going to use that $2,000 for. So I want you to also look at this perspective as one of the benefits that you can include for the proposal. So you're building the capacity to be able to become investor ready, attract investors for their business, teach them how they can do partnerships, brand partnerships, how they can, all I've just said, being investor ready and then pitching for business grants to inject into their business and scale operations, and also attract investors and credit to grow the business. That invariably expands, increases their revenue, increases their capacity to hire more hands and reduce unemployment. So if these women-led businesses go ahead to now employ other hands, maybe from vulnerable communities, for instance, it has a social impact dimension. It also has an economic dimension, because they're creating employment opportunities. By them getting business grants for expansion or getting equipment, the grants can go for equipment, can go for operational costs, which gives relief to the entrepreneur. There's a potential there. So I also want you to think of that even as you have conversations with the association leaders, that see, it's not just, we're not looking at these grants just for them to be able to, okay, maybe provide funding to members, but it's to also support the capacity building programs and also build their investor readiness capacity to be able to even access business grants individually. So one small business owner can access $2,000 for a Black woman-led grant opportunity that they have seen online, just by teaching them how to organize their business idea and pitch it. Okay.
Okay.
So are there additional questions that you have?
So there was one. I think most of the comments you made was clear. I think there was one. I think I believe you realized at the time you were reviewing, I was still working in the.
Yeah, I saw you. I saw you like the same thing happened with KG. When I was reviewing her, she was also reviewing at the same time.
Yeah, and I think in between it, someone pissed me off at work, so I guess.
Sorry about that. No worries. So we're making progress, and
Yeah,
I believe that.
Yeah. So the part that I wanted to ask. So with the X section, right, which is titled Program Partners.
Yeah.
Is it going to include maybe people who will be providing services, in terms of, let's say for this particular project, the part that will have to do with the capacity building, those who will be taking, maybe those who will be engaged to provide those sort of training, and the coaches? Is it what they
so there's a slight difference between what partners mean for a business model and for a grant proposal. In BMs, using business model canvas, for the key partners, you have to put vendors, suppliers, and all of that. But for a non-profit, these are not your vendors or your service providers. They are your stakeholders that you want to collaborate with. So, for example, if the association has relationship with maybe 2 microfinance institutions, and then those microfinance banks have agreed to manage a revolving loan for them. So we're applying for a grant, and then out of the $100,000 we're applying for, we are proposing that $30,000 or $50,000 should be like a business fund where members can come, take an interest-free loan for 6 months for cash injections into their business, and then they will pay back within a 6 months period. But the association will not be managing that fund. A microfinance bank has volunteered to manage it. So that is a stakeholder that you are collaborating with.
Okay.
So it may not necessarily be a service provider. So I'm partnering with you so that we can work together to help this population. So think of institutions and organizations that have interest in female entrepreneurs, that it may be amongst the members there. Maybe they may be working in one government institution like that. Maybe there is a government agency, and then this agency, you will partner with them, and they would provide support, or even maybe discounts for registration. They are coming to be teaching them about taxation, and that they are not really service providers, but they are government institutions that would also support these women to ensure that their business is structured. For example, in Nigeria, there's an agency we call SMIDAN. I think it is Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency of Nigeria. So it is an agency, it's a government agency, it's a federal government agency, but there are non-profits that collaborate with them for purposes of training. So they can invite them as training resource persons to come and support their programs, invite them in terms of, engage with them in terms of advocacy for a particular policy change or something. They're not necessarily a contractor or service provider to you. They're just stakeholders that have vested interest in your key population, and they can provide one form of support or the other. Maybe they can provide discounts, they can provide services at a highly subsidized rate, or even access to other training opportunities that they have within their agency, being run by their agency. So think from that direction.
All right. So there was one management or strategic consulting firm in Ghana, right?
Okay.
That actually every year runs market research on Ghanaian businesses and products, right? So with respect to the export readiness assessment that I indicated, they have a framework that they do, right? It was my intention to also pitch to them to provide a certain level of pro bono for these women. So those were one of the people I was trying to, that was why I included that in. So
they are a key partner. So you put them there in the proposal, and then you say that they're supporting, they can even support training, market research training for the women.
Yes.
So just put that they're a key partner, yes.
Yeah, okay, so those are some of the,
Yes,
all right, then it's
from that, yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah, and maybe the last part will be the M&E part. I realized that you made a lengthy. So what I put there was more like initially the sketch, and I was just trying to come.
What you had there are your outputs.
Yeah. So
what you had there are your outputs. So your outputs will need to be within where you are discussing objective and activities or method and design. You can embellish them there. So for your monitoring and evaluation, you just have to say, for instance, objective 1. Then you put your indicator. Your indicators, I advise have just one objective for peace to reign. So you just set out your indicator. So for instance, if you have this is an example of an indicator: proportion of women engaged who are able to successfully make grant funding applications independently by December 2024, for example. That's an example of an indicator. So you want to measure by December 2024, out of these 500 women, what's the proportion of them that have successfully submitted a funding application? Because they have gone through the trainings, they have gone through mentorship, they've been able to structure their business, they've met the eligibility criteria. Or proportion of these women whose businesses are investor ready based on an evaluation, a readiness check, investor readiness checklist. So you will now say that, okay, our target is that 70% of our target population, or of these women, of the 500 women, 70% of them would meet the minimum funding eligibility criteria of banks and grant funders, business grant funders. That's an indicator. When are you going to take this data? December 2024. So there are some data that you have to look at monthly. For instance, revenue. If you want to be measuring the impact of the work you're doing on revenue, you have to be looking at those numbers on a month-to-month basis. So by the end of this month, what's the revenue? What's the cost level? Next month, what's the revenue? What's the cost level? So you'll be able to measure their capacity to manage operational costs and grow their sales and revenue, sales numbers. That kind of data you want to track every month. And so if one of your indicators is to measure the proportion of women who are able to grow revenue, grow sales and revenue quarterly, That means this data, you are going to be taking that data every month. So it's monthly. Sales, you're going to take sales data, revenue, costs monthly. So that's how to just present your monitoring and evaluation plan. The indicator have to be very clear when you're collecting that. What is the target? So if you're looking at proportion of women who meet minimum funding eligibility criteria for loans, for small loans and grants, your target is maybe 75% at least, or 65% of your population engaged should be able to meet that criteria. So that's your target. Number of people who receive grants, you should have a target number. So whoever is evaluating that section of the proposal know that this is how you intend to measure this particular change that your project is going to deliver. This is how frequently you're going to collect data. This is even your target. So it's clear what you want to change and how you're going to know that you have achieved that change.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So well done. Kudos on your work done so far. Madam Grace, good to see you here today. So how can we support you more? What's been your experience? I looked at the document yesterday and you still have just your problem analysis content there. So what's the challenge and how can we help? Have you been watching the training videos? Grace, are you here? Grace Aid Foundation. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
good evening,
great.
everybody.
Good
Can you
evening.
hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, okay. Good evening, Coach. Good evening, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be back to the group. I've been having quite a lot of challenge,
Okay.
Getting my job done.
Okay.
I've watched the video and watched the video. I've never done a grant writing proposal in my life. This is the first time.
Okay.
After the analysis, the problem analysis,
yeah,
I've tried to do the other ones, the linkage, the projects from all those ones, the method.
okay.
I even chatted you, but honestly, I've not been able to get them linked up,
Okay.
I've been writing, but I've not been able to conclude it, and I wish I could be assisted at this point.
Okay, so
It's like
go ahead when you finish.
I'm doing the same thing Kofi is doing, but in a smaller. I'm dealing with a more not quite
illiterate
literate
population. Okay.
I'm dealing with illiterate population, but from what he's saying, it's like we are doing the same thing,
Yeah.
but at a lesser.
He's doing it in Accra. They have it. He's doing it. There's an existing association of 500 women entrepreneurs. So then if there's a slight difference, you are now going to mobilize your own women. Those women are already in an association.
No, I already have like 150 to 200 women. I have a cooperative society. I mentioned to you at the beginning of the program, I have this cooperative society. I've been trying to also give them little loan following, but you told me where I felt there was no monitoring. I was not monitoring them. I was not training them. I was not preparing
You're just
something
giving
like that.
them the small money to go and do. Yeah.
Yes, and then some of them could not pay back because really there was no training. There was no
to pay back. Yeah.
Yes, because they were not properly they were not properly organized, followed up. So I started thinking of linking them with a microfinance that to be coming, just what he was saying is what I was having in mind. So that is what I want to expand.
Okay, so see my recommendation to writing it. I do not, everything I was teaching and all the slides, I do not expect you to replicate everything. Number one. So like the tree that you are seeing me drawing, I don't expect you to draw the tree inside the proposal. It's just something you can, it's just to help you think through the problem you want to solve and how you're going to solve it. So what is expected of you? You take a rough paper or rough book. You can just sketch the tree in a rough book and be brainstorming, okay, what do I think the problem is? Why are these women like this? Okay, maybe they're suffering from domestic violence, they're from broken marriages, and then there's trauma, they are traumatized, and it's affecting them financially. So it's just for you to brainstorm. I don't expect you to go and draw it inside the proposal. No. So you brainstorm,
okay.
you have all those issues. Now, in the second video, video 2A, where I was teaching the technical terminologies and concepts in proposal writing and project development, you see what a project goal is. What is a project objective? What is project outcome? Because any grant application, these are some of the questions the funder will be asking you. What is the objective of the project? Just like the sample application template we are working with in this program. What is the project objective? What are the outcomes? What is going to change as a result of your project? How is the project going to work? So what I expect you to do is, using that example in that training video, I even showed one agricultural project. You can pause that place so that you see, okay, this is how the project project goal was framed. This is how the project objective was framed. These are the outcomes. You now use that example to write your own project objective based on this analysis you have done. So for example, you can say you want to this project is to empower 500 women with business development training. Though I don't like framing, I don't like writing objective like that. You can say to increase the economic capacity of 500 vulnerable women through enterprise growth opportunities, pardon the grammar, and linkage to funding, for instance. You write it. And then you write out, what are the key activities that you want to do based on the analysis that you have done. You've identified certain gaps. You will need to take some certain action to bridge that gap. So it will now help you to frame the activities that you need to do. Okay, number one, we need to have a training for women to learn about managing business. And this training will be delivered in vernacular language, or have to start a business training. And it's going to be in vernacular. It's going to be a 5 days training where number one, we're going to teach the women in their local communities and all that, how they can do a local market research to understand what people will buy, or the kind of products or services that will thrive in that place. So it will be like a local business school. Local business school can run for a 5 days training, teaching in Igbo language if all your women are Igbo. This curriculum is going to be developed so you put it in the proposal like that. This it's a local business school, and the module have been created and delivered in the local language, which is Igbo. And then we'll teach the women how to start a business, how to keep record, so that they can know the costs on a day-to-day basis for running their business. Just exactly what Kofi had discussed is even what you would do, but you are now streamlining it in a local way because of your target population.
Exactly.
So
My population are from
don't overthink it. Just go and type it inside. I want to see it inside the document. But if I don't see it, there's no way I can help. And one question I wanted to ask, do you have a team member that can help you write?
Yes. Yes, I have people that can write. I can write. It's just I needed to understand everything. I've been watching this video, watching. I've been thinking and thinking. I wanted the linkage, but when I saw the sketch this, sketch that, I said, am I supposed to now put these sketches? But I've understood the thing very well.
All the sketching is to just help you think.
Okay,
think
now
through the issues.
Okay, now when you talk about narrative, and I say, I thought these things are in tabular form.
People should not be angry.
Sorry.
Narrative is like storytelling. So anytime I mention narrative, when I mention narrative in the training video, what I mean is the write-up in the proposal application. That is what I mean by narrative. You are narrating your project in that document. The story of your project, the story of the problem, the story of the solution, the story of how you're going to measure the progress, the story of your organization's capacity. So that's what I mean by narrative. The narrating it in writing in the template is what I mean by narrative. So don't stress yourself by going to sketch all those diagrams. In the box, you see that there's a question. Each section, there's a question underneath it, and then there's a box where you have to supply your response. So you now have to type in your response there. So the training video, it just gives you like the tools that you use to do your analysis, how to think through the analysis. All those ideas is now, you will now write it, narrate it in a story, a write-up, an essay to explain what is going on in the community, explain how you are going to address the problem. And so you talk about this is your project objective. These are the activities you want to do. Then in the method section, I don't know if you heard what we're doing last week. If you watched the video for last week, I talked about that everything we are trying to do, there is a method behind it. Every project, every intervention, every product, there is a method.
Yes.
These glasses, there is an architecture behind it. The hand, the frame, and the lens. These are the three components of this product. The hand, the frame, and the lens. So there may be other activities like joining the hand to this frame, infusing the lens to it. All those are activities. But the architecture of the solution, the structure of the solution, there's a design. For a house, you have the foundation, how do you call it? PVC, DPC, and then
DPC.
and then the roof. There's a roof. So you know that, okay, this is the structure of the house. So every project, any intervention you're doing, social intervention, has a design behind it. So for you, when you now look at it, all of those things you saw at the bottom of the tree, you can push them into compartments or components. By the time you do the opposite side and then know what the solution should be, your solution tree, you can create buckets, push some things that are similar into one bucket, push another one into one bucket, and have 3 buckets. So one of them, especially for the kind of program that you're doing, that is similar to Kofi's own, you can have 3. That one is capacity building. Another one may be access to markets. And then, or for you, maybe you want to teach agriculture. You want to use agriculture, farming as a strategy, for example. So you can say agricultural skills development, 1, 2, enterprise development or enterprise growth, and 3, access to market. Maybe you want to be doing exhibitions to connect buyers to sellers. Just an example. For this program you're doing, Grantwriting Mastery, there are 3 components of the framework, especially for those who are joining from September, because I have expanded it. So the first one is the training. And under that component, what we're doing is the access to the toolkits. So you have training workshops, you have proposal writing templates, you have sample funded proposal. That's the training component of this solution. The second component is the proposal development and review, which we are doing on a week-to-week basis. So you write, I read, review with you to give you a clearer direction. So this has to do with weekly proposal writing of proposal sections on a week-to-week basis by participants, review and technical advisory, weekly group live support sessions for peer-to-peer coaching and expert coaching under the proposal development and review section. So you see how the component connects with the activities we're doing. And then the third component that we're going to be doing from September is the funder engagement component, which is participants are going to get curated funding opportunities based on their programs that they are running. They are also going to get access to a funding opportunity portal for 1 year, and also technical support on an application to a funder, which is the funder engagement component. So whatever we're doing, let's assume that this is a 6 weeks project. The design and method is these 3 components: training, proposal development and review, funder engagement. But we have different activities, plenty activities. All those activities are functioning. The design of this solution is this framework: training, proposal development, funder engagement. It is the same thing. This is for this particular template we are working with. You may, by the time you are submitting application to funder, the template may be different. They may not go through the stress of telling you to explain activities, objectives, and then come back and tell you to explain method and design. It may not be that way. They may not bother about, because when you look at it the first time, it will be, is it not the same thing? Project, objective, activity, method, and design, is it not the same thing? For them, it is different. So you might find another funder that is going straight to your analysis, itemize your project objectives, itemize your activities, and then just say outcome, explain what is going to change and how your activities are going to create change, straight to the point, then you explain. But this template, why I chose it, is because it is difficult and simple at the same time. If you're able to work with it, go through this rigor and work with it, you can blast through any other template you find. So I hope this helps, and at least by Friday, we should be able to see, just try your best, put, those content in there, because if I can't see it, I won't be able to really advise you on, okay, remove this or add this or question what you're doing to give you more clarity.
It's okay. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
I'm very, very grateful. I'm going to, by Wednesday, Thursday, I will turn in all my assignments.
Just write all that you can, because the final review for August is this week, Friday, except some people want to carry over it to September and pay $179, which is the fee for September.
Wow.
I think it's 120,000 now. It's no longer 45,000. It's 120.
Oh wow.
It's 120, but for people who carry over, I always give a 45%, a 50% discount. Like those of them that brought themselves over, that came from July and said they wanted to continue with August. I said, no problem. So I gave you only pay half of they know themselves. So they carried over. I beg, I want to continue to work with you on it. So they paid half of the fee. So for those that want to roll again, is half of the fee for September. And then you will now get access to the funding stuff, get access to curated opportunities and support to submit the proposal to a funder, and then break off to say, okay, at least I've submitted one. You have the confidence to keep pushing for more opportunities. Okay.
It's okay. God will help me.
Yes.
I'll try my best. I'll try my best. I don't want to spill over. I rather want to move forward.
Yeah. So it's better for you guys to even book a one-off. Okay, by the time we finish, I'll just tell you guys the next step, how we can continue to work together outside of this group, this thing. So you can book clinic sessions. 1 hour, we look at what you're doing for projects, whatever aspect of your organization, whether it's operations, to report writing, to put policies in place, put procedures in place, and the tools that your staff can use to be following those procedures, all of those stuff. I'll talk about it during our final session. So, okay, so everybody have been supported tonight. I'm going to, as usual, I'm going to put the recording up. By tomorrow, Sunday, the recording will be up in the YouTube. Okay, go ahead, Funzile.
Okay, I realized that when we spoke, we didn't touch on one of the, I think I didn't notice you had made a comment also on my ME, but I think when we were talking to Kofi, I understood that I need to align with the objectives, because I put it at the bottom. I had said new company registrations or cooperatives within 5 months of participating in the program. I'd listed them down, but I think after you explained to him, I'm going to now try to align them with the objectives.
Properly.
Yeah,
They have
yes.
to. So
yes.
every indicator needs to speak to the objective, needs to help you. Okay, just like when you're doing something, it's just that over the years we've not, had that culture of really evaluating our work. So when you want to create change, someone is sick with cancer, the doctor has indicators, KPIs, that will tell him if the cancer is aggravating or it is shrinking. And so the doctor is saying after 2 months of chemo, we should be able to see so significant reduction in the spread of the cancer cells, reduction in the size. So that's an indicator. So minimum at least 50% reduction in the coverage of the cancer cells within the organ 2 months after chemotherapy. It's a KPI. So what is going to tell you that this thing is changing, the problem you're solving is changing, or this benefit you want to deliver, this result you want to create, this change you want to create is happening? There must be something. Someone has malaria, so the temperature is always high, no appetite, constant headache, and then you are bringing a malaria treatment. How will you evaluate the effectiveness of your malaria treatment protocol? You need to see a reduction in the temperature. So 24 hours after treatment, at least a reduction of the temperature to below 37 degrees Celsius is an indicator. Reduction in the feeling of headache or total disappearance of the headache. Improvement in appetite, so they will be asking for food. How often is the patient requesting for food and beverage? Is an indicator to say that, okay, the person in treatment is working. So you must be able to think that way, to say, okay, this is it. And then another thing that the indicators help you to do is that by the time you evaluate or you track and you see that this change is not happening, you can then go back and say, okay, what activities do I need to do? So one of the things I did with the structure of Grantwriting Mastery, why I expanded it, increased the price and all, I said, okay, one of the struggles is that even non-profit founders are not even able to identify funding opportunities or follow through with submitting to a funder because of time, lack of confidence, fear, this and that. So by the time they go through the training, they get the training materials, develop the proposal, they are not still submitting it. And so because I have that indicator, I then came out with a new plan to say, I will force you to the end, give you the curated opportunities, give you access to the platform and show you how to use the platform, and even support you to make the submission, to make that change happen.
Okay. All right. That's noted, Coach. And then another comment that you made was the duration of the program, the timeline. You said I must limit it to 2 years.
Yeah.
Because I had said
3 years. You said you were
3
going
years.
to do it for 3 years. That's because for all the funding I've seen so far, the maximum I've seen is 2 years.
Oh,
it's more manageable for the grant management office. So it's 1 year, can be 6 months, 18 months, which is a year and 6 months, and then 2 years. And then they can roll over.
Okay.
So some donors that really like the work you're doing, they're saying that change is happening, is a star project, and it's even helping them. So you'll see this investment we made here, this is the impact we're making. They will roll you over another 2 years. So there was a grant I wrote for, and the organization I worked with, that was between 2015 to 2019 before I went to search for common ground. There's a particular grant I wrote, GSERF. It was for, at the time, it was for us to get in the door as a principal recipient of the fund. But after I wrote the proposal and submitted it, they wrote back to our organization to say we did not qualify as a principal recipient because we were not an international organization. But they really liked the quality of the proposal, and then they would talk to the selected principal recipient to work with us as a sub-recipient. The selected recipient was Action Aid. And so they spoke with Action Aid that they liked this organization's documentation. And from there, they were able to get the grant. The grant has been running since 2018 till now, always rolling over because of the quality of work being done. So after 2 years, it can become a revolving project. Maybe they'll start expanding to other local governments, expanding to other counties, other districts, or doing follow-on projects. So let it be 1 year, 18, 1 year, 6 months, or maximum 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's noted. And then with regards to the number of beneficiaries, the thought behind it
20 is
was,
too small.
yeah, the idea was taking 20 per 12 months because it's an incubation program. So within the first year, the first 12 months, I would have taken, like, through the cycle, 20.
Don't you have the
So
capacity to support 100 people with the training, the facility, everything?
I think I was just scared to push myself to that level. I have
You are
done
saying
some,
20 and asking for $30,000. Do
I
you know
was
what
looking,
that means?
I was looking at the cost of the infrastructure, because setting up in the aquaponics side of things is quite expensive this side. So the 30,000 was also accounting for the infrastructure setup.
So the infrastructure setup, will it be for each of the participants?
It's for the actual center itself.
It's for the center. Okay. So
Yes.
that is a one-off investment.
Yeah. Yes.
But this center, what is going to be the training or incubation capacity of the center?
It can take 100 per 12 months.
So put it 100.
Okay. Okay.
Because 20 for that amount of money, when I looked at it, I was already biased, like,
Yo, I'm joking.
$30,000, 20 people, I'm not interested.
I want to buy a Lamborghini. Okay, thank you, Coach.
You're welcome. All right. Okay, so it's been a wonderful learning time with all of you. We are closing next week, Saturday. Okay, which means that my last review for your cohort is going to happen on Friday. That's when I will read through. So what I would just advise is finish the entire document, write everything, and let me just review and put the comments. So from your partners section, finish the monitoring and evaluation for those of you who have not written it, work on your organization overview, the executive summary, everything. Finish the form so that by Friday, maybe I will even start early and start on Thursday evening, and then read through and then give the final comments for you all. And the budgets, I'm just laughing because there's still so much work to be done. The budget is still there. So by the budget, you may not break it down to the nitty-gritties, but I want you to look at what's going to go into staff costs, what's going to go into each of the activities, what are you looking at doing, so that I'll know you understand how to create your budget for your proposal. But I just want you to do all that you can do to finish, and let's see where we are by next weekend. All right. So have a wonderful evening, everybody. I know for those of you in Kenya, it's about midnight already. Okay. So well done, everybody. Thank you for joining. It's been an interesting period, going back and forth on the project ideas. So have a wonderful night. Have a blessed Sunday and a most productive week ahead. Good night.
Amen. Good night. Thank you, Coach.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you. Good
Thank you so much.